Hi, it's Maria Tabane again, and this is the last part of our class on suprasegmentals, the final class on suprasegmentals, where we're going to be looking at metrical grids, a rather old-fashioned notion, but still a very important one for rhythm at the level of the sentence or the utterance. And this is the levels we're going to be using for the metrical grid. We've already looked at the syllable, and in the last class we looked at the foot, and the foot helped us work out our word stress, okay? And then we're going to have stress at the level of the sentence, okay? I'm going to write up a proper sentence later on. There's just one little thing I want to say first, and it's probably best explained with reference to this level of the sentence. Now, I have a friend, Kathleen, and I'll just do this over here. Kathleen. Now, I hope you'll agree with me that if you had to clap, you'd clap on the lean. Kathleen. Kathleen. So it would be weak, strong, okay? And then that would form the foot there, and that would then go up to the word, okay? Now, her surname is actually Windy. Windy. Okay. And I hope you agree with me that if we were to clap a syllable on windy, I'll put the syllable boundaries there just for fun. Windy, hope you agree, it's strong, weak syllables. Okay, going up to that foot. And there's our word. Okay. However, if we were to join this together into a sentence, okay, I would not say Kathleen Windy. I'd say Kathleen Windy. Kath would suddenly become the strong syllable. Okay. Now, what this is all about is that English doesn't like to have strong syllables next to each other. There are words that have two strong syllables, maybe lipstick, lipstick, maybe bandana. Bandana's a better example than lipstick. Bandana has two strong syllables, okay? Yeah, but in general, English doesn't like that, and it will shift the stress if it possibly can. If there's another syllable, it can shift the strong. If it can shift the stress, it will make another syllable the strong syllable in the foot, okay? Now, this is all about what happens when you join these two words into a sentence. I know that's just a name, but it is still a sentence. It's not a sentence in the grammatical sense of proper syntactically formed sentence. It's a sentence in the sense of an utterance, something that you produce, okay? So if I were to just translate what I've written there into a metrical grid type framework, I would write Kathleen Windy. I'm sure her ears are burning. Have I done something wrong? Well, phew, okay. Windy. I'm sure her ears are burning. Where I mark the four syllables with here, Kathleen Windy. I then mark the strong syllable of the foot here, Kathleen Windy. And in these instances, the foot, the word has only one foot in it, so this is also a word, and windy is also a word. But when I put this up to the level of the sentence, and if I'm only allowed to clap one syllable on this sentence, it would be the windy. Kathleen Windy. Okay. Just if I say the name out of the blue, what's her name? Kathleen Windy. Okay. There. So windy is getting the main sentence stress. I know it's not a proper sentence, but it's an utterance. Okay. Sometimes it's just called the nuclear accent. Maybe I'll just call it you could call it, I'll put sentence in brackets and write the nuclear accent. That's what happens when we put utterances up. When we actually produce speech. We're actually talking about putting these words into running speech. Okay, so yeah, so we've counted our syllables there. We've marked the strong syllable with an X, and then we've got the word as well. Yeah, so that's how I've just translated that, because I'm going to be working with this for my next example. I'll just do one sentence example. I don't want to insist on this too much. I just want to sort of get us at least working at the level of the utterance or the sentence. Okay, I'm using those terms interchangeably at the moment, which is probably a bit naughty of me, but that's that. Okay, so I'm just going to rub this out now because I'm going to write a longer example underneath for us to work with. And the kinds of sentences I'm going to be talking about are what's called neutral declarative sentences. What that means is it's the way you would pronounce a sentence out of the blue. There's no context, okay? It's just if you had to sit down and read the sentence out loud together with someone else, okay? And so if you're reading it with someone else, you sort of you use a very neutral reading, okay? Something that's kind of a default, yeah. So that's what I wanted to say. All right. So let me just write the sentence up that we're going to do. We're going to say we had a conversation on the escalator, and because I think we did the word conversation in the last class, so we'll just do that again. So I'll just try and write this out correctly, and I really hope that I'm not going to make any mistakes because it's so easy. We had a conversation. Oh, am I going to run out of space? I hope not. On the escalator. I'm going to say on the escalator. On the I think I'm okay with space. Okay. Lay a. I think you can see that. Yeah. All right. Good. All right. So let's go through and mark all the syllables. We had a conversation. I'll just mark the boundaries word internally with our maximum onset principle. So we can't have we can have a word begin with v but not with v. So we had a conversation on the escalator. Okay. Some of you might have written the escalator. It doesn't really matter. On the escalator. On the escalator. I'll just put the schwa in there. Makes my life a little bit easier. All right. Now, let's look at our words that have more syllables in them. That'll be a good starting point. Conversation. So we know we had a foot. Conversation. Okay. And I know in our last lesson that we decided that the stress syllable was the say. Conversation. So we going to have to put word stress here. This is our primary stress. Con is secondary, and that's marked with having a foot there. Okay. Conversation. Right. Okay. And then escalator. Again, 2 feet. Escalator. 2 feet. Escalator. So this X for the foot is marking the strong syllable, okay, in this representation. And then we decided that our primary stress in the word escalator was in fact on the first syllable, escalator. If we can only clap one syllable, it's a first syllable, escalator, not escalator. So there's that, escalator. Good. Excuse me. Sorry. We had a conversation. Right. So now, we've got stuff going on in between these words. So I think that if I had to clap this sentence, I'd go, we had a conversation on the escalator. If I had to do a lot of clapping. Sorry, just come back and notice I forgot the microphone before. Anyway, so back now. Had a conversation on this. So look, if you wanted to really clap a steady beat, you could go, so if you're saying it with your friend, we had a conversation on the escalator. And you could say that we've got something on had a conversation on the escalator. And you could say there's something on. Now typically when I was doing this to a live class, I'm obviously pre-recording this, there would be debate as to whether we had a, head of a foot there. or another one there. You know, was it a case of you were going to run it along and say we had a conversation? It was always a little bit controversial. I like to have it. I think it's there. I think we've got a full vowel on that at, and that tells me that's probably the head of a foot. And similarly, if we say on with a full vowel, o, I think it's evidence that we've got a strong, you know, the head of a foot there. Okay, so I prefer to leave it. So you've got to imagine that you're saying this, just reading the sentence, you've never seen it before, and you're just reading it out loud with someone else. Okay, so it means you have to agree to keep in time. We had a conversation on the escalator. And now the question is, so we've done our word levels. Yeah, I mean, you know, do you want to say that had this, and here again it's getting controversial, do you want to say that had has its own little mark there? Do you want to say that on has its own little mark there? Oh, what have I done now? Foot. Yeah, here we're definitely getting into more controversial. Now, I'll just say something else. You can't just skip. With we, this I'm marking as not being a strong syllable at all, as not having, not being the head of a foot. Okay. And if I decided that this isn't the head of a foot, I can't suddenly say that this is a strong syllable in a word. All right. So I have to. It would have to be all of them. Okay. So that's, you know, you can't just sort of have gaps like that. That wouldn't work. All right. So with these metrical grids, it's building up the levels of prominence. And if you like, each little level there is an extra bit of duration in the sentence. And I think that that we is quite short, if you read that out quite in a neutral declarative. We had a conversation. I think that the we is quite short. So I'm just going to keep it as only a syllable. All right. Even though it's written as its own word, I know that. I know. But we're talking about the rhythm here and the alternation of strong and weak syllables with this metrical grid. Okay. Now, so we've gotten our word levels there. We're a bit iffy about whether had and on, you know, should form their own word. Controversial. But we should be able to decide on what is the main. If you're only allowed to clap on one syllable in this sentence, what is the syllable you're going to clap on? Remember, neutral declarative reading, no context. Okay. We had a conversation on the escalator. We had a conversation on the escalator. All right. If you're allowed to clap on two words, we had a conversation on the escalator. Maybe you tap on say as well, but in this neutral declarative reading, the last syllable that has all of these levels, has a syllable and a foot and a word level stress, gets the sentence level stress. This is the neutral declarative reading in English. We had a conversation on the escalator. On the escalator. Okay. So that's the nuclear accent in a neutral declarative reading. Now, people say to me, yeah, but you know, what about if you're contrasting it with we had a quiet talk? What did you? If somebody asks you the question, what did you have on the escalator? You say, we had a conversation on the escalator, okay? And then certainly the say would take the main stress. Okay, this wouldn't. I'd rub that out and I'd put it there. But that's in context, okay? That's given a previous question. What did you have on the escalator? And the escalator is the given information and the conversation is the new information, okay? Then, sure, we could put the nuclear accent, the sentence accent on the say. But given no context, in English, the nuclear accent goes on this final syllable. And this then gives us our alternating rhythm. Da 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 da. We had a conversation on the escalator. Okay, I mean, I'm getting a little bit rhythmic there. But this is what this metrical grid is about. Okay, I could strip away all those segments and I'd still have the rhythm left behind. Da 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 da. All right, so I just wanted to sort of take us to this metrical grid level because it's probably there's probably only one level that's higher than that, and it's doesn't get talked about much these days, which is something called the paragraph level of speech production, but that's pretty obscure, and nobody really works beyond the sentence level when it comes to this sort of rhythm and prosody. Okay, so I hope that's given you a little bit of an insight into the way we organise our segments in speech, and that's the end of the super segmentals component. Thank you. Bye.